it's not always the most enjoyable to be forced to use an underwhelming card that you are trying to make better for fun. And the only way to do that is to have less fun in the process to evolve the card. It's basically just another example of how backwards this game is. The point of evolutions is to ultimately have more fun improving players that you like. Maybe they follow a certain theme for a past and present, or some sort of theme you have for your club. But if in the process EA makes it an absolute chore and as unenjoyable as possible in order for you to improve the card, to me, that is an issue. That is basically all there is to it. Okay. Evolutions are extremely restrictive, underwhelming, and feel more like a chore than something that is rewarding. And we're going to talk about that today. So we are going to come back to the screen you see behind me here in a bit. But for now, we're going to pivot to our trusty notepad where we have our notes. And I want to go through a few things. I also have assembled 4 different evolutions that highlight different issues with this feature of the game. So let's dive in. Firstly, one of the biggest issues I feel like, and this falls under the category of being overly restrictive, is that almost all evolutions cannot be done in Foot Champs playoffs or Foot Champs as in weekend league. Now, there is no logical reason for EA to do this or pigeonhole players other than to force players into other game modes like division rivals to make any progress with their evolutions. Now, of course, some evolutions, many of them do allow you to play in friendlies or rush as well. And that's fine. That's cool. But what I'm highlighting here is this overarching issue with practically every evolution where you cannot progress any evolution in Foot Champs or playoffs. This shouldn't be the case, plain and simple. I think we all just sort of get accustomed to this because it's just the way it is. But this is why this game overall can feel like a chore much of the time. So this alone to me is completely absurd. There's zero reason to force this restriction on players. Okay. Now, let's go over the 4 examples I have behind me and talk about other issues regarding evolutions. And then later we're going to come back to the screen in the main menu of the game. Now, let's start with we play possession. So one of the ways they restrict these evolutions is that once you put a card, let's say it's a special card, into an evolution, it a lot of the time loses the rarity of card that it had before submitting it into the evolution. So I'll give you a prime example. We're going to take a look at the we play possession evolution here. Okay. So the marquee player, one of the better players for this would have been Dragusin. Once you put this team of the week card into this evolution, they end up as a evolution card and they are no longer a team of the week. Now, at first glance, you might say, who cares? And that's fine. But, you know, if someone really liked this card or they were, say, like a Tottenham Spurs fan or something, and they wanted to chain this card with a new evolution that is available, well, they can't do that purely because the card type is no longer a team of the week. So allow me to give the example here, right? We play possession, you can use Dragusin. If we go to the evolution options, you have this behind me you can see, but also you can use the disruptor first, a new evolution, and then you can submit the card into we play possession. But you cannot do it in reverse purely because if you put this card into we play possession, it is no longer a team of the week card. And this disruptor evolution requires the rarity of the card to be a team of the week card. So a card that was originally a team of the week that you've now chosen to improve with the same dynamic as the team of the week. It is the team of the week card, but it's lost that rarity type in the game and therefore does not qualify for further improvements in this case. Now, is it the biggest deal in the world? No. But I'm just giving one of many examples as to how this company puts unnecessary restrictions on you as a player to upgrade cards that you want. Now, let's go through the second example. This one, I can't believe. This one is worse. So I tried to go in order of the least problematic kind of towards the more problematic. Okay. So let's look at our second example. We have Trailblazers Turbo, which is another free evolution. So the fact that most of these are free is obviously a good thing, right? That's fine. Kudos. No problem. But let's take a look at this Trailblazers Turbo evolution and see if there are any big issues with this. Well, if you look at the requirements behind me, in the first section of it, you can see over here, one of them are play 3 matches in Rivals using your active EVO player in game. Now, if you are in the higher divisions and you want to upgrade a subpar player, you are putting yourself at a distinct disadvantage when you are competing against other players who are of equal skill level as you, but are using ultra meta teams. Okay. And again, maybe some people listening or watching this, maybe you're saying, who cares? But if you are someone who's playing in the highest divisions, Elite Division, Div 1, Div 2, it's not always the most enjoyable to be forced to use an underwhelming card that you are trying to make better for fun. And the only way to do that is to have less fun in the process to evolve the card. It's basically just another example of how backwards this game is. The point of evolutions is to ultimately have more fun improving players that you like. Maybe they follow a certain theme for a past and present, or some sort of theme you have for your club. But if in the process, EA makes it an absolute chore and as unenjoyable as possible in order for you to improve the card, to me, that is an issue. That is basically all there is to it. Okay. If you look at this second upgrade here to the right, the top right, how do you get the second phase of this evolution done? Play 2 more matches in Rivals using your active EVO player in game. Now, thankfully, in this case, it doesn't say win, but there are other evolutions that require you to win in Rivals. Okay. And then if I scroll down a bit here, you can see the third level. Actually, I'm not able to scroll down enough on this window basically, but the third requirement that you just barely can't see right now is play 2 more matches in Rivals using your active EVO player in game. And again, yes, playing is better than being forced to win in Rivals with your EVO, but still, it's a ridiculous requirement. Okay. And I just basically don't see people calling these things out, and I think they deserve to be highlighted. That's pretty much why I'm recording this. Okay. Now, thankfully, in my case, the third example was not an issue because of the friendly game mode that was the where you could use like a full French team or whatever, a full Spanish team. But let's take a look at Brilliant Bon Pastor. So one of the best options for this is Furlan Mendy. And I was fortunate enough to pack Furlan Mendy before this Evo came out. I actually packed this card from one of the player picks in the Rush objective set. Okay. And so for me, it wasn't really a big deal, but I'm not recording this just for me. I'm recording this sort of to document frustrations that I believe a lot of the player base has especially when you think about it. So in my case, I was able to evolve this card, but let's go back here to look at the requirements, right? So we see level 1 here. Play 3 is no problem. Win 2 is not a big deal. Rivals could be an issue for some people. And thankfully, the live friendlies make this a lot better because people play golden goal a lot of the time in friendlies. So I was actually able to get this done very quickly, especially when you're winning most of your games. But again, I have one other thing I want to say. So if you're in a good position, if you followed my recommendation of joining friends, especially through this foot.gg, they have a Discord where it's quite easy to match with people who are much better teammates and generally better players. You could take these cards into Rush and have a great time. I've done that with multiple evolutions. It's all good. You can still win most of your games. It's still fun if you're playing with other actual human beings instead of bots that are going AFK in Rush, right? But my sort of issue with this is that for people who don't know to do that and they're just going into public matches in Rush trying to complete an evolution where you have to win 2 games in the first phase, and then let me scroll down here, then you have to win another 2 games in the next phase. You could be getting thrashed if you're playing with randoms in that Rush game mode. You could be getting thrashed like 80% of the time. This could take you hours and hours. That is my issue. Some people, this can take them a lot of time. If they're in a division that's a bit sweaty for them and they don't realize that they can match with people online for Rush, and if maybe they're not that good at the game and they're trying to play friendlies and they're getting hammered a lot of the time, these evolutions could be pretty frustrating for them. For me, it was really easy. I won 10 out of 11 games in that friendly mode with Ferland Mendy in my team, and I upgraded this guy in no time. People were playing golden goal. Most games didn't even last a half. So, let's say each game took an average of 5 minutes times 11 games. It probably took me under an hour. So again, this isn't an issue. Like, I'm not projecting my experience and only my personal frustration with the game as if I'm like not a good player. I'm a good player. I'm better than most people at this game. Okay. I'm not coming from a place of, complaining personally. I'm calling out issues with the game, and I'm also trying to acknowledge, the percentage of the player base that is maybe below average, right? I mean, probably 50% of the player base or more is probably in Division 5 or lower or something like that. And maybe they lose majority of their games in friendlies. Like, there's a good percentage of the player base that is in that position, right? And I kind of feel bad when EA puts these sorts of requirements in. Now, let's see. So, point number 4, okay? So, Hey Jude, the most recent, one of the most recent evolutions that came out. I couldn't believe it when I saw this. So let's go back to the game screen menu here. And I'm going to read it word for word. The writing is pretty small. I'm not sure if you can read it well on your screen, depending on what you're seeing this on. So, club member reward, right? This is supposed to be a marquee evolution, a gift. An evolution inspired by the cover star, Jude Bellingham, one of the best players in the entire world. For FC 25 club members has been granted to you. Redeem it now and turn your midfield creator into your next game changer. This is the marketing. Into your next game changer. So we're going to go back to my notes here for a sec. Hey Jude is an evolution that is max 83 rated. This is not a special or outstanding evolution at all. In fact, a lot of evolutions are actually better than this. And in general, evolutions are actually pretty underwhelming, to be perfectly honest. Okay. Keep in mind, by the way, I'm someone who does like to put my some of the players in my club into evolutions. I have multiple evolutions, multiple evolved players that are semi-decent, but most of them will really never make the main team almost ever because of the power curve in the game and the fact that evolutions are still way behind the power curve, right? Now, let's take a look at Hey Jude on this tab. And I've got us right into the player selection. So it's max 83 rated, and there are restrictions. It has to be a cam, has to be this and that. And when you look at the 83 rated players in the game, you have a total of 12 that qualify. And from there, the rating of the player goes down further and further. Now, that is not a crucial issue in and of itself. But what I'm trying to demonstrate here is the extreme restriction they've placed around the player selection for this marquee evolution that they are marketing in their game. Every time you log into their game, you're going to get this screen behind me. Like, they're pushing this evolution as if it's something special. And look at the player base that you can pick from. And as we scroll down, it really doesn't get a lot better. Like, tell me, honestly, for most of you, are you happy to pick one of these players for this evolution? Honestly, right? To me, what they should have done is at the very least made it a maximum of 84 rated, because you can end up with a wider, more, appealing selection of players at 84. Okay. It also would have allowed you to chain more evolutions, because a lot of the evolutions boost the player to 84 rated. Okay. And when I'm looking through this list, I'm going to be honest, it's completely underwhelming. You might be in the minority of people who find a player that is a personal favorite of yours and you're happy about this evolution, and that's cool. But when I look at the options, I'm shocked, right? To me, the fact that EA is marketing this way, and look, I think it's complete garbage. They're calling this your next game changer. Let me tell you something, guys. Let me tell you. Not everyone's going to agree with everything I say, and I understand that. But hopefully you can see what I'm saying here. None of those players that we've just glossed over in the player selection for this special evolution turn into game changers. They don't even come close to turning into game changers. Okay. If you see the teams that people use in the higher divisions and in the higher sort of elos of Weekend League, none of these players are even remotely game changers. So basically, EA shouldn't market them like that. That's part of my position on this, basically. Now, EA does whatever they want. They can do whatever they want. They've proven they can do whatever they want. People still play the game, myself included. But I just think it's kind of ridiculous. So I feel like talking about it. Okay. I think I'm going to wrap it up there. Yeah. Hope you're doing well. If you have any comments or insights or questions, feel free. Hope you're doing well. Hope you're taking care of yourself. And I will see you in the next video. If you have any subject within this game you want me to cover, let me know in the comments. I will absolutely consider it. And I will talk to you later. Peace.